Good evening. Welcome back to hell. You killed me! 1 week ago, I uploaded a video about the new series by Pixel the Orangutan, Nether Life. This video is the second session of this series, so if you haven't watched episode 1, click this button here, or the link in the description to watch it, then come back. Now that I can confirm that you all know what this series is, let me give you a short reminder of what happened last time. We spent most of our time mining gold, and eventually formed a team, Team Whimsy. We ended the session at our void base, where we start this one. So, let us begin. As I joined the server, I noticed a strange new bridge in the distance, and walked towards it to investigate. Rory explained that she thinks
bridging over to us.
To which we responded, saying that we should see where it leads. We decided to wait for the others to join before doing so. As we were waiting for the others to join, Raccoon joined us in the overworld, immediately running towards the bridge and pillaring up towards it. We decided to follow him, running along the bridge until it came into view. This is the tower, a structure similar in nature to a trial chamber, where we must fight an onslaught of enemies in order to acquire the prize awaiting on the roof. As we entered the tower, we heard many mobs, such as Vindicators and Silverfish. And when we got to the center of this platform, breezes began to spawn in the rooms on all sides, blocked off to us completely. We dropped down into the first room, finding bogs, strays, phantoms, and breezes. As we fought, more and more mobs continued to spawn. However, we killed those too. As we continued, Pix told us in chat not to enter. The problem? We were already inside. So, Pix decided to teleport us back, as the session technically hadn't begun yet. After he teleported us all back, I decided to trade exactly 1 gold ingot with a piglin. We struggled to do this, as there were no piglins anywhere near us. Eventually, we found a piglin, and I mined gold while Rory traded with it. I then traded with it, getting 6 lapis. It's not exactly of much use, however, it can be useful for enchanting. While mining more gold, the session officially began, with a title card saying, "Session start. Somewhere in the Voidland." This title card gives a name for the overworld, the Voidland. This is what will be used for this place from now on. At this point, the rules of Session 2 came into effect. The only difference from Session 1 is that full damage is enabled. I returned to the Voidland, and requested that we enter the tower. However, as I was making my way there, I found Red, Max, and Zero on our Happy Ghast. This Happy Ghast belongs to Team Whimsy, and they are not permitted to ride it. I asked why they were on it, and they didn't answer. So I shot Red with 1 arrow as a warning. Pix then told me it wasn't worth it, and told me to move on towards the tower, so I did so, traveling with Pix and Raccoon to the tower. Our previous assumption was that Pix had constructed this tower, and the bridges. However, he told us that he had no idea what this was. As we entered the tower for a second time, Pix informed us that we can't place or break any blocks, which means we must complete this trial fairly, and in the way the builders intended.
Oh,
yeah. It worked! Or we could just cheese our way to success. Continuing on from the first room, we find ourselves in a nether wart corridor, which opens into a room full of silverfish, which ended up killing me, sending me back to the Team Whimsy Voidland base. I asked Rory for some food before attempting to return to the tower. Upon arriving at the tower, Pix told me not to go up the water he had gone up, and that there was lava in the top of them. I then proceeded to go up the wrong one, and die again. This time I decided to take a Happy Ghast, knowing that the bridge was being destroyed, leaving it where the bridge still remained. This time, I went up the right bubble column, joining Pix in a nether brick corridor, with 2 signs. One reading, "Continue this journey, but risk everything." And the other reading, "Leave now. Greed is the downfall of all players." Following the sign to continue this journey leads us to a room, which seemingly leads to the roof of the tower. Below us is an army of Vindicators, and above us is a phantom spawner, and parkour we would have to complete in order to reach the top. We attempted to ascend the tower, with Pix falling and being killed by a Vindicator. I proceeded to use an ender pearl to get back to where I was after falling. This put me inside of the glass, where I exited, and continued the parkour, experiencing enough lag that I considered it too dangerous to play. So, I left the game, and rejoined. After fixing my internet, I rejoined, and continued to climb the tower, fighting off phantoms as necessary. One of these phantoms hit me, causing me to fall, losing my progress. I proceeded to use breeze balls to regain some of this progress. I then fell again, joining Red in an area that is inescapable without breeze balls or ender pearls. So we pearled back to the door and healed. Red then decided to leave, nearly dying. Eventually I decided to join the others, going back to the main room. This was a bad idea, as there were about 1,000 breezes all aiming at me. I decided to leave this room so I wouldn't die. For some reason, we then got resistance 4, which allowed us to simply run through the mobs and not worry about taking damage. Using this, I returned to the final room, attempting to scale this tower with my newfound invulnerability. Whilst doing this, Red lost his final life, being out of the game permanently. Somehow, Red returned from the dead, declaring this loudly for us all to hear. I used ender pearls to continue scaling this tower, making more progress than ever before. This didn't last very long, as phantoms hit me off before I could make more progress. At this point I managed to pearl myself into the wall, which was a good place to be, as I could fight the phantoms without needing to worry about falling. However, I missed my ender pearl shot and fell to the ground, nearly being trapped in a pit of vindicators. I then fell to the ground once again, this time losing a life, putting me on one final life. When I respawned, Dillboy informed me that Red is back from the dead and can fly, supposedly having killed Dillboy in this state. He then told Pix, who returned a life to Dillboy. I then requested that I do the same, to which he agreed. Pix then decided to speak with the dead, using voice chat to speak with Red, who responded using the in-game chat. Pix sacrificed one of his lives in order to bring RedRoi back from death. We then noticed Max and Douglas fighting, with Douglas winning, taking Max out of the game completely. He then returned from death, using the custom command, while I refreshed myself on the rules. Max then bed-bombed Red, killing himself permanently in the process. Zero then began to attack me. However, I lagged, so I left the game in order to fix it. When I rejoined, Zero was nowhere to be seen, and seemingly had died in the time I was offline. While we were talking about Ralix having got a wither skeleton skull, Red died once again. I then proceeded to fall off the spawn platform, dying, and putting me back onto only one life. I then asked Con if he would be willing to sacrifice a life for me. He said that he's concerned about his own ability to survive. Whilst this was happening, Pix, Max and Red all got bed-bombed by Zero, who returned from the dead with the sole purpose of murder. Me and Con then decided to return to the Team Whimsy Voidland base, allowing us to just As the session began, I requested the enchanting table from Ralix, so I could enchant my armor, which he happily gave me. I then got protection 1 on my helmet and chestplate. Pix then said not to mention something. I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about though, cause the session hasn't even started yet. Pix then started the session, and we decided to follow this weird bridge that appeared, using Happy Gas to do so. As we continued on, the tower came into view. A large structure made primarily of warped wart and warped wood. We landed our Happy Ghast on the roof of this tower, finding 2 incomplete withers, and a sign in front of each one that reads, "Kill the wither. Receive your prize. Here away from prying eyes." I don't know the meaning of this. However, I simply decided to descend into the room below, which contains chests that Ralix had already looted. And I'm getting a strange feeling that I've been here before. Not sure why, I'm sure it's not relevant at all. In this room I found more signs saying, "Kill the wither and feed us more. A surprise for you is in store. And finally, your greed helps us feed." I don't know the implications of these signs, but I'm sure it'll be fine. After returning to the roof, we decided to leave, with Ralix telling us what he got from the tower.
Anyways, I got a guy apple, a warden spawn egg, 16 bug spawn eggs, 30 phantom spawn eggs, I got 2 diamond plugs.
In theory,
I got a monster spawner, I got 30
we
creeper
could
spawn
use
eggs, I got 24 TNT,
in theory,
30 wither
could use that for evilness. Like
we can get a warden spawner.
Ralix has got a lot of power as a result of these items, but I trust him to not use these items for evil. As we returned to the Team Whimsy overworld base, we noticed Max and Douglas stealing our Happy Ghasts. We killed Max, and the others tried to kill Douglas by killing the Happy Ghast they were on, which I was also on, as I had jumped onto it to kill Douglas. This action killed me, as I couldn't make it to the water in time. Upon respawning, I made my way back to the overworld base, making a bed when I got there in order to ensure I don't spawn in the Nether again. I then made a new double chest for more storage, placing 7 buckets of water inside. At this point, Douglas killed Max illegally, which put both of them on 1 life, and Con, Rory and Ralix were all killed in a bed bombing performed by Douglas, while Max died to fall damage, likely caused by this explosion. Douglas then managed to die to a lightning strike, which really shouldn't happen in the Nether, so he was granted the lives he would have got from the bed bombing. I then proceeded to travel to the Nether to get some gold and to trade with piglins. As I entered, Pix joined me, getting attacked by every zombified piglin in the area. I don't know why or how, but he pissed all of them off. As he was pillaring up to avoid them, Douglas broke the blocks he was standing on. Ralix responded to this by killing him. I then proceeded to mine gold for a while. After mining, I died in lava, sending me back to the Team Whimsy overworld base. I returned to the Nether to find Sabratzi and Raccoonfish talking. I then proceeded to mine even more gold. As I was mining, Ralex joined me and asked if I was German. I don't know where he got the impression of me being German from, but the answer is no, I'm not German, I've never even been to Germany. Aber ich rede ein bisschen Deutsch. I informed him that I'm British, and he just said that I sound German. I'm not sure how. If any of you can explain it, please leave a comment explaining how the fuck I sound German. Moving on, as we continued to mine, Rory eventually joined us, and Ralex told her that I'm not German, and she had this to say.
Yo, I just found out.
What's Murphy?
Funny
What?
German person is not German.
Oh yeah, I'm not
Wait,
German.
what?
I'm not
Funny
German,
German
by the
person
way.
is German.
You're not German?
Both of you really thought I was German. I am
I'm
British.
gonna like see myself up.
Rory,
You're British!
I have lived in Great Britain for my entire life.
You sound
I was
German.
born
Yo, wait,
in
high five.
London.
Yo, wait, like high five because I used to live there. But don't hit me with your sword.
I didn't.
Don't hit me.
Ralex said that this reminded him of something, and that he has a story to tell. So, let us listen.
It's story time.
Okay, tell your story, Ralex.
So,
Tell
like a year ago or something, I played in like a server which did like mini rounds with map recreations of the actual live series, and we like had the items they had in specific sessions and the lives, and we had their skins and stuff. I met a guy who like didn't speak because his family would find it too loud, so he wasn't
Oh,
speaking.
my family gets pissed off. I'm just tell them that
Oh, yeah,
I'm going
me
to be
too.
doing it in advance, and they don't bother me. Just guys, from these
Yeah.
hours today, I will be screaming my fucking
Loud.
lungs off.
Yeah.
Fuck off if it bothers you. If it bothers you, leave. Just go somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Well, I like met that guy. Didn't really talk to him much. I thought it was like an 8-year-old or something. Then I like talked to him once, and like we got pretty close. We talked quite a bit. Yeah, we had like a group where we talked until like 2 a.m. one night.
Valid.
It was pretty fun. Then
Sounds it.
and one day we were talking, and I found out he was also from Denmark. And
Oh,
I
so
was
you're
like,
from
yo,
Denmark
that's sick.
then, I assume.
I am, yeah.
Fair enough.
I was like, oh, that's sick. Where do you live in Denmark? And he said like the region of Denmark I live in.
Yeah.
And then he said close to like a pretty big city that is like 30 minutes from me. I was like, how close? He was like 30 minutes. And
Wait.
then I asked him if there was and then like the name of a restaurant that's only in my city. If there was a restaurant by that name in his city.
Yeah.
Then he said
Just
no,
ask him
but
if he lives
it
where
is,
you live
it
at.
is very
At that point,
close
just ask,
to-
do you live in the place I live in?
Yeah, but no, then I would just dox myself though.
Oh, good
Yeah,
point.
that's true.
Okay, anyways, he then said no, but a city that's like right next to me has that. And I was like, how close? Because there's a city that's legit like 200 meters from my house
Oh my god.
that isn't the same city. And I was like, how close? He was like a 5-minute drive to the restaurant. So I was like, wait, do you live in this city or like small town? And he was like, yeah. Like he lived like 300 meters from my house.
No, bro, if I found someone like that,
Oh my gosh.
I would legitimately just go meet up with them at that point. We continued talking about various topics for a while, almost getting us to the end of the session, before I was attacked by a phantom in the Nether. I don't know how it spawned, but we killed it. Whilst doing this, Pix, Stillboy and Con decided to spawn the Wither. Thankfully, they spawned it in the overworld, meaning we didn't have to worry about it killing us. We then traded with Piglins before Red pearled down and killed Rory with lava. Ralex then killed him. Whilst continuing to trade, we noticed that Smurfy was somehow on -1 lives. We don't even know how that's possible, but apparently it is. Eventually, Ralex returned, spawning a new portal down here, before Pix joined us. Red then shot him, gaining yet another life. At this point, I asked Pix, "What did you do?"
I'm so tired.
I did a thing.
That's a YouTube channel. What did you do? He then ended the session, still not fully answering the question. At the same time, Ralex placed his mob spawner and placed a warden egg inside of it. Naturally, I ran, not wanting to be murdered by the warden. However, one of these wardens followed me and hit me with a sonically charged shriek. I ran, trying to evade this warden. I decided the best way to do that is to leave the game. So I did, concluding Nether Life Session 2. Tune in next week for the Nether Life finale. And don't forget to subscribe!